Good afternoon, garden friends. I can't believe it's almost the end of August. This is what my mom says. I love this. Time just doesn't fly, time evaporates. And I couldn't agree more. I can't believe it's August. Welcome to my garden tour. I grabbed a glass of wine. I thought we would stroll the garden and take a look at some interesting things together. And I can't wait to show you because I can't believe how good the garden's looking. It's still warm. We've hit like mid to high 90s for the last week, cooling down to the 60s at night, which is just very pleasant. The garden is really responding well. Nothing is like crazy stressed out. There's a few plants that are kind of like, no, thank you. But that I think the 105 week of 105 did them in. But in general, like everything looks great. My 30-day challenge that I did, inspired by Janie, of dig, plant, water, repeat, I feel like really just set me up for enjoying my garden, just doing a little bit every day. It's just been so awesome. So I can't wait to show you what I'm getting to live in and hang out in every day. I have my coffee in the morning, and I love to just stroll and look at things. So I can't wait to bring you along and show you. Um, I'm going to turn the camera around, and we're going to start here in my side yard, which I call the Hummingbird Highway, which also has my orphan garden you see behind me. We'll talk about that. We'll start there maybe. This area was filled until recently with two big round planters. They had the vermillionaire in them and some sort of mystic spires, salvia. They were just too big for this area, so I took them out and I had a couple tries. I finally landed on these. These are Nantucket planters. I got them at Walmart. They're plastic. I originally had metal, but the metal got super hot. So I was like, oh, this is not going to work. Even, the plastic gets hot. If I'm to touch it, that's hot. Whereas this is, well, you know what? That ceramic pot's hot too. So I guess it is what it is. I have my umbrella there because I have been covering mostly this California fuchsia. When it was really hot, like 97, it was wilty. So I had it there to cover it in the late afternoon because this area just gets nailed. It is 5 o'clock right now, p.m., and this gets the heat of the day. It radiates off the windows. It bakes the cement. It's just crazy. So you got to be tough to survive out here. So the vermillionaire that I dug up, I put back in here after I had a couple missteps with some other plants, and I'll show you those. And I bought a new batch of vermillionaire because I felt bad about depriving the honeybees and the hummingbirds of their lunch. So they're doing great, but here's like a good example. See, this is a little suffering. So when we're done with our tour, I will give it a little drink of water. I have my chiclet orange here, which I'll talk about. I'm going to plant that out in the other side of the house. And then I have my agastaki, which was for me to make up to the hummingbirds for taking their taking their lunch away. This is our side gate. I'm not going to show you the tomatoes because the tomatoes don't matter. They're not that exciting. They're just tomato plants. But I will show you, this is my Eden rose with also, I got several different clematises in here that bloom all the time. Just finished one flush. They're really pretty purple and I see new shoots on them. The Eden is done with its latest flush and really should be pruned back. I just don't know how to get up there. So here's my new fruity pebbles that I planted here. It does have black spot and it is suffering. So I have to figure out what to do with that. I have to spray that. I'll probably do that tonight. And I also have a blue tie clematis in here. And I feel really bad. I was trying to stake it up and I connected it to this wire here and I burned it. The wire heated up and burned it. So I'm just kind of letting that be. See how it wants to look, survive. And then in here, we talked about this in a video before. This is my dwarf nectarine where I discovered spider mites. I have been hosing this off every morning and every night. And so far, I think I'm keeping it at bay. Just this side seems to be the worst, but this foliage here seems pretty good, pretty healthy. So I've just been hosing this down as well as my citrus orchard, making sure that spider mites don't relocate. So here's my beautiful hummingbird garden and orphan garden. Here's the ginkgo tree that I ended up picking up for my mom. I think you were along with me for that shopping trip. There's Gabby, the garden dog. She's so cute. She's our little rescue. We got her. They weren't sure how old she was when we got her in 2010, but it's 2016. They thought maybe 1 or 2. So she's at least 17 years old, maybe 18, but she looks great. So on this side is my orphan garden. This is where I kind of plop plants that I don't really know what to do with, mostly when I take them out of the garden or they're just not thriving and I want a sort of a recovery bay for them. So here's the redbirds in a tree that I took out from those Nantucket planters. Man, they immediately crisped up and almost died. And I freaked out because I love this plant. I popped it in here in the orphan garden and it's rebounding already. Looks much better. And then same with my California fuchsia. It immediately like went, ah! So I popped it in here and it's already looking a lot better. Also in my orphan garden, I have these Japanese anemones that I took out of my garden because they spread like crazy. And I don't want them in my garden because they take over. But look, I'm getting some blooms on them. But these are big plants. I was like, holy moly, they're like way up there. So isn't that pretty? I'm excited. I did not, or I was not successful in digging them all out. So that's another project for this fall to dig out the rest there. Also in my orphan garden, I have just a variety. I have a campanula that needed some help after I practically killed it with too much fertilizer. I have a Peruvian lily, a red hot poker, blue mouse ears, hosta, some other hostas here, a liriope. I want to put the liriope into the garden. I'm waiting to get some help with the digging because it's where I want to put it. It's like, no, thank you. I'm not digging that hole. And then at the end of both of my Vigo garden beds, I have Happy Wanderer, which is it's like a purple lilac vine. Interestingly enough, this side, which I thought got less sun, is doing better than this side, which gets more sun. I'm not sure what's going on. But then also in here, I've got the Senecio, the angel wings, which I love, but it's so bright that every time I try to put it in the landscape, it just seems like it grabs all the attention. So it's here in my orphan garden until I figure out what to do with it, as well as some snapdragons that I pulled out. And then I have this this is called Dutch Pearl. Look at this. This is an old bloom, so it's a little faded now, but man, this thing has been prolific and gorgeous. Just a stunning plant. It doesn't look the greatest, a lot of dead leaves, but it just keeps blooming and blooming, and I cut off of it and it does great. And I have my basil plant. I don't have much of a vegetable garden. I'm going to maybe do some interesting things in the front yard, and maybe I'll have more vegetable garden, but generally speaking, it's not really my thing. Also in here, I have the Renee miniature climber that I started from a cutting that was given to me by the Rosarian Linda Knowles over in, appropriately, Roseville. And then I also have my bower vine. And this is just the most confusing thing of all because I planted 2. And here is this one. This is it. It's just planted here. It's just doing its thing. I mean, the rose is doing better than the bower vine. Isn't that funny? But on the other side, it's completely traveled all the way up and it's doing great. So I have to research that. Are there like different types, like male, female? I don't know. Um, this is a salvia. It's called Bodacious Hummingbird Falls, and it's meant to be like this in a container, growing out over like this. I was never planning on putting it here. It's just that we took our fence down where it was hanging, and I just didn't really have a good place for it. But I ended up really liking it in here, so I might, raise it a little bit higher, but I like it, and the hummingbirds like it. So there you go. And then here's my red hot poker that I put in here that I just plopped on top of the soil surface, and it's been there now for 8 months, doing just great. On this side, I have my citrus grove. So this is what I plan on doing a little retooling. In the fall, when it's a little bit cooler, I'm going to dig up this dwarf nectarine, and I'm going to put it on the other side of the house. I'll show you when we get over there. And in its place, I'm going to put my lime, which is on the other side of the house currently. And then this whole side yard will be citrus. I mean, not really the whole side yard, just the first 4 plants. So I'll have lime, and then this is a Mineola Tangelo, which is like a big, nice, really nice sort of fruit tangerine mix. Then I have this, which is a tangerine mix, loaded, absolutely loaded. And then down here, I have a Sumo, which is my absolute favorite citrus in the world. It has that really thick, bumpy skin that just easily tears off. It's one of my favorites, and I have 1 fruit on it because it's just a baby. So I need to give it some little more sun. As you can tell, it's kind of trapped back here. So I just need to shift a lot of these plants over just a little bit this way. But this I shared in a previous video. This is the retooling of my hummingbird garden. I'm just really trying to put plants in here that hummingbirds like, that do well, shady conditions. They get about maybe an hour of sun if I'm really thinking about it, maybe a couple hours. I would love to have a little bit of like I call it my hummingbird highway because I want this look, right, of the hummingbirds coming up and down, and I feel like I've achieved the look. Plants have grown in, there's some blooming, the salvia is blooming. This is rockin' deep purple from Proven Winter, so that blooms. I have angels. Oh, cheeky squirrel. They come over for the figs. I have angel's trumpets, which I just started from a stick this spring, so they haven't bloomed. I'm hoping they will next year. I have my abuleton, my flowering maple. You were with me, I think, when we espaliered my tiger's eye abuleton here. So like my vision is to have this be a hummingbird haven. And then my offshoot, the planters over there, that's like my off ramp for the hummingbirds. So this whole area, is I have pineapple sage here. I'll get close up. This is pineapple sage. I got 1 little bloom from it this spring. It doesn't get a lot of sun. I just relocated it here to the corner, which I think it will get more sun, so I'm happy about that. So this is really, and I have like the Salvia Greggii that's, it would prefer more sun, but I'm getting some pretty blooms on it. And I see the hummingbirds and the bees on it. So, and then I've just got a little pop of color in this planter, repeated in this planter. So just a bunch of really, fun stuff. Some fuchsias here. We planted this together. I've got some Nemesia in there, which is kind of petering out, Angelonia. So really it is a utility area, yes, with the, the trash bins here. By the way, if you haven't seen, these are our trash bins. I just absolutely love them. So And also, you haven't seen, we have our fence put in. This is our new fence with the hog wire, the cordon steel hog wire. We had this lattice put up, which I think is super pretty. Um, and then we just sort of framed in our trash bins with two, sort of smaller fences. And then we have that side as well. So goodbye, Hummingbird Garden. Goodbye, Orphan Garden. And let's transition to the Zen Garden. Here's my Zen Garden. I call it that because there's something about the fountain that just so peaceful. I have it on a timer. I got one of those smart plugs and just plug it in. I have it hooked up to drip so it automatically fills up. There's just something so peaceful about the sound of water. This is where I caught the video of the hummingbird bathing in here. Super fun. I love everything about this garden. It is, well, is it a garden? I don't know. This space, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Let's look at it closely. I feel like I've done a nice job in taking what was really an unused area. We didn't use this area. We used it as a utilitarian area. I had a potting shelf there, potting bench, but it was just always messy. And we use this area a lot. This is a major walkway for us. Yes, we come out to, put the trash in, but we're always here. We see it because we sit there around the fire pit. So I really wanted to make something pretty here. So I got those really cool corten steel teardrop hanging baskets, filled them with Nemesia, Campanula, Begonia, and Fuchsia. And you may remember from a previous video, we had a little bit of a fertilizing disaster. So we're making a comeback, but these two look a little different because the Nemesia died. So I had to put in something and then they didn't have any Nemesia. So I ended up doing Silver Falls, Dichondra, but it's something I can use elsewhere when I can get more Nemesia and put it back in. The Campanula is looking good. These two actually get more sun than I anticipated. So they're looking nice. This one, not looking that great. But that one was really, like we did a number. I felt really bad, but we really did a number on this one. Like here's my poor fuchsia back there. And then I do have everything in pots around the fountain. I've got this gorgeous maidenhair fern that will probably do fine year round here. I think it's happy. I have this fern that unfortunately when I moved it here, it does get a blast of afternoon sun and it crisped it up. It wasn't acclimated to it yet, so I'll cut off those and it'll spring back. And then here's another fern that's new to me. Is that interesting? It's got kind of curly, crazy, got all these little crazy fronds on it. And then I've got your standard Boston fern, of course. And then the rest are all coral bells. And then I've got this beautiful red sentinel Japanese maple, which should be thinking about turning colors here pretty soon. And this gorgeous planter that we got at Cottage Gardens of Petaluma. I just love it. And I just think this whole look is beautiful. From the planters to the fountain, I just love it all. I had toyed with the idea of putting something underneath here, but I've decided I think that might be too crowded, so I'm not going to do that. I've shared in previous videos we're having a problem with roots getting uplifted, so for now we have these, to step on so we don't trip and break our necks. But one of the things I love, Michael Glassman was here, and we used to have a fence here, and he was like, no, leave it open. When you come in now, you see your beautiful garden. And it was so funny because I was looking at pictures and I was looking at when we used to have a black fence here, and he is so right. It looks so much better without it. I haven't planted anything here. We're waiting to deal with the roots and the cement situation before I think about what we're going to do here. But yeah, I love the openness. Isn't that pretty? And then you just get this view. So beautiful. You may notice that I have taken away the tiered planter that was here. I always was planning on doing that. It was there to hide the ugly black solid fence. And without it, we don't need it. So I have this mint here. Not sure if the mint will stay or not, but I like being able to look through here and see my Zen garden. Pretty, huh? I mean, even our trash bins and the Buellton. This is a variety. I think I have it mislabeled. I thought it was Lucky Lantern, and I've decided I think it's Victor Riedel, which was a hybrid designed here in California. And it's just blooms and blooms and blooms. So I just really am enjoying it. The only thing I think I don't like is that it doesn't get rid of its dead, but oh well, what are you going to do? But yeah, super happy with how everything is looking here. Then we walk into what I call my fence garden, which is not not a very clever name. I really should come up with better names, but I don't really know what to call it. Let me turn the camera around and I'll talk to you a little bit. I'll do the outside and then I'll do the inside. Something new we did this year was we put in the edge right metal edging here, and then we took out the flagstones and put in, first we had DG, and then now we've put this very small layer of salt and pepper gravel. And I like the sound, the crunch that it makes, and I just like the look that it makes. So as you walk along, it's crunch, crunch, crunch. So here is one of my most challenging beds to plant in and to maintain. This gets pretty much mostly shade, maybe an hour or two of sun in the morning. But why it's challenging is because I have my neighbor's Chinese pistache right here, which we absolutely love this tree. I mean, it is the one giving us the root trouble over there, so I'm trying hard not to be mad at it. But it just sucks up every available drop of moisture. So this has been a trial and error bed for me to see what would work here. And if I find myself fighting a plant, I say sayonara. So what has worked well here are the liriope. Those super pretty variegated. I have them next to those pretty azaleas, and you'll notice one's dead. That's why we have the red flag. We got to dig it out. And there was a water issue there, unfortunately. And then behind it is a Japanese maple, also struggling a little bit because we had a water issue. We found that we had put the wrong heads on new plants that we put in, and it unfortunately caused some of this, but easily fixed. And then in here, we have a lot of hellebore, the wildberry coral bells, heuchera, apple twist, heuchera, Chinese ground orchid. I've got a Camellia sasanqua here, Japanese forest grass, both on this side and on the other side, and also lemon coral sedum flanking either side. And as long as I keep up on the extra water, everybody looks pretty good. But the minute that I don't, they start going, ah, kind of like this, whatchamacallit, lamium. I might tell you. I've got a calla lily here who has really put out a lot of new leaves, not a lot of blooms. So I'm waiting to see if that will happen. I have Little Henry Sweet Spire, which were new to me. And I actually reached out to Proven Winners and said, what do you think I should do? They seem a little gangly. And they're like, oh yeah, you should prune those. So I will, as soon as they give me their fall color, because they turn a really pretty fall color, like in reds and oranges and things like that. I am struggling with chlorosis with them, but it's not because of this plant. Everything I have planted here struggles with chlorosis. I am giving it chelated iron, which the gardenias have really enjoyed. They've greened up a lot. But even then, it's like it's not enough. It's not often enough. It's not enough volume. Who knows? It's just because these trees. So I got to keep up on it. So that's on the list to do tonight. But in general, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this whole bed looks. And when the hellebores are blooming, it's just gorgeous. I just love them so much. And then if we continue on the outer ring here, I've got a mishmash of things. This is my next area that I want to deal with. Move things around. I've got a mixture of ajuga, lamium, hostas, lungworts, hardy geranium. This is actually a tester to see if I'll get any blooms from it under here, because again, with these photinia, they do take a lot of the moisture. And then this is a Feather Falls carex, which I'm also planting as a tester. My thought is to do a nice border of the hardy geranium all along the front, and then flank the Feather Falls on either side, and then just really beef up this area with hostas. Then coming along this side, this is always kind of a hard area too. It's dry, it's shady, it's dry shade, which, you know, not a lot of plants like. Here is my rose. It's called Dependable Beauty, but they don't make it anymore. But it just gives me really pretty blossoms. It blooms year round. And now I'm stopping. I'm not cutting off because I'm not cutting off the spent blossoms and the deadheading because I want the hips. This will give me some pretty fall color. And then I've got some cherry bells and campanulas in here that are looking like they're getting ready to be done. I've got some of my absolute favorite little daisies. They are everywhere and they just do so good without any effort. This guy doesn't even have a dripper near it, sort of near it. There's one right there, but it's not right on it. That's fine. My pink cashmere, gorgeous. Doesn't get that much sun, so this is one of the smaller ones I have, but it's still giving me pretty blooms. And then here's my other verbena that they said was a homestead blue, and it's not. So I put it here just until I decide what to do with it. This is a hardy geranium called Bayakova that's used to be shielded by a plant that was here that I took out in order to put those crossvines in. And so it's getting a little sunburned, but it'll toughen up and figure it out. Of course, my Royal Velvet Supertunia is looking gorgeous. But look at my crossvines. Blooming, blooming, blooming. So happy. Hummingbirds love it. I'm just thrilled with it. I have some plants back there called black stockings that I saw in a garden tour once, and I really was enamored with them, but they are not doing great, unfortunately. I'm just hoping that maybe they settle in over the winter because I thought they were really cool. They put out really long purple spikes. I thought they were really cool. I've got some sea lavender here that it was a little bit better looking. It hasn't really given me that much this year. So, and then I've got this snow in summer, which needs to come out because it grows, you know, by spreading, but I don't have a way to water. So it hits kind of the edge and then it dies because there's not enough water for it there. So it just always looks kind of cruddy. So I would like that to come out. This is my summerific, berry awesome hardy hibiscus, which I moved and twice. I moved it into a place that doesn't get as much sun as it used to. I got a beautiful first flush, and now it's pushing out new ones. The only difference is where it used to be was in it would bloom all the time. So that just a little bit different of an experience for that plant. You know, some other pretty things here. I've got a lot of this pink cashmere coupled with the sea lavender that's pretty. And then I have a Shasta daisy there when that's in bloom, the white, so pretty. All right, let's go into the ring, the inner ring, the fire pit ring. This section here, just in this kind of corner, is my most sun bed. It gets maybe 6 to 8 hours of sun, whereas everything else in my entire yard gets 2 to 4. So the things that like sun I have here, and they're doing really well, like this carpet rose, this lemon coral sedum, this portaluca, buddleia, cufia, pittosporum, hardy geranium. These are all just loving life. Here's more snow in summer. You see the difference? That one looks pretty good compared to this one. This one gets a lot more water trickling down the berm, I guess. I'm not sure. I do have an Ito peony here. I just planted it this year, so I did not expect it to bloom, and it didn't. Got a bearded iris tucked in there. We'll see how that... Oh, did you see that little lizard brand? I put these rocks in, and once I put these rocks in, it just, like, the lizards love it. So they're there a lot. It's really fun to see. I also have this Sunjoy Barberry. I really love the color that these bring. This is a May Night Salvia. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. It's okay. Shasta Daisy, amazing. Love it. African Daisy, this is what I don't like about them. This is what they do. They're not heat. They don't like the heat. Everyone thinks they do, but they don't. They like it a little bit more mild. So this is like the one of the few plants that's kind of not digging life. And I mean, if you had your choice between this plant and a lantana or this daisy, wouldn't you say, yeah, I'd want one of these instead? It looks way better. So this guy might be on its way out. Here's my Chitalpa. This one I got a good 6 weeks before that one, and it's doubled in size. Looks absolutely gorgeous. It didn't at first. I actually rated it a 4 out of 10 in my performance reviews because it wasn't doing anything, but it's kind of jumped into, maybe it heard me. And I was like, oh, she's going to fire me. So looking lovely. I'm going to train it to be a tree, not a shrub. So I'm excited about that. They both have a little bit of yellowing of the leaves, and I'm not sure what that's about because this one has hardly any water, and I think this one gets more, and yet they look the same, so who knows. These ends are where I'd like to kind of shape up, you know, I have opportunity to plant here. I have a Roseanne geranium there that's looking great. Ice plant that does great. Lantana in the middle. I thought that was the same as these three, but it's not. But it's not so different that, you know, I'm going to take it out. But I love lantana. It's a tough plant. It's an easy plant. It's year round for us, so I can cut it back and in the winter, and it will flush out, so I can keep it under control, or you can just let it go and let it get huge if you want, and it will do just fine. So I really like lantana. I like the colors too. I like plants that have like the ombre effect. I think that's pretty cool. I also have some Veronica in here. I've got one here and here. I don't get a lot of blossoms from them because they don't get enough sun. So I'm thinking about digging these up when it's a little cooler. Maybe I'll put them over here with their buddies. We'll see. Here's my cousin It, which I have talked incessantly about. Super frustrating why it doesn't do better than it does. It was doing fine, and then all of a sudden it just starts doing needle casting. This is a 3-year-old plant, and it's just dying out of nowhere. Nothing's changed. I just don't get it. And I had created kind of this ring to go around, and they're all slowly but surely starting to do the same thing. So I don't know. And then also I put in hardy geranium, the Bayakova, as an inner ring, and they're all just kind of looking a little peaked. So it's probably these guys taking all the water. So I should probably investigate that a little bit better. The Helichrysum doesn't seem to mind. We came back here and had to prune it back because we could barely walk. These asters I just picked up I love them. I love the dark purple with the dark green. I just think they're so pretty. And then with the Gara, the Helichrysum, and then I've got some more purple Veronica here. And the cousin it, the one that's doing okay. I just think it's so pretty. And then on this side, I've got more purple, but in the form of Homestead Purple Verbena, the last of the Speedwell Veronica. And then here's some Ajuga, which is so funny because look at this Ajuga. I planted it at the same time. And then this Ajuga, same time. One side has taken off and one side has not. And I don't know why. I'm wondering if this side just gets a little bit too much water. This is where I had my salvia, my big rock and purple that was like 5 feet tall and 5 feet wide. So it took up this entire, it took up all of this space. So it got whitefly or scale or something, not sure. So I cut it down to the ground. I actually divided it into fourths, dug it all up, dug it into fourths, and then planted 1/4 back. And it'll grow back. It already is. You can see there's a lot of new growth already coming. But then I just got some of these annuals to pop in here for some color. Coleus, Angelonia, some more aster, pincushion flower, zinnia, some white verbena. So these are all just sort of annuals. I think, well, the pincushion flower might stay, but I'll have to relocate them. And the asters will stay. And then this is a tangerine geum that we transplanted from over by the Hummingbird Highway. Oh, and then I've got some meteor showers in here, which are very popular with the bees. They love it. Some Ajuga and lemon coral sedum and some surefire begonias. I don't know. They're just messy to me. I don't really dig them. And this is a hydrangea that's I planted last year, maybe 2 years ago. It's never bloomed, so that might be coming out. A Desdemona David Austin rose that did bloom. This is its first year. Absolutely beautiful white, creamy white blossoms, and it's putting on a new flush. Really impressive for a first year rose. And then I have my weeping redbud here. And then tucked in here, I also have more Homestead Purple Verbena. That silvery plant in there is Artemisia, right next to another barberry. And then I'll walk over here. I've got some John Creech, which were looking amazing, stone crop they were looking amazing until we planted in here and they kind of got stepped on. So I'm a little bummed about that, but hopefully they'll rebound. So the barberry, I love the Artemisia, that gray with the purple. Oh, it's so pretty. And then I've got some bearded iris in here, hardy geranium. I have this adorable planter that I was inspired by, and I'm either not watering them enough or I'm watering them too much. I don't know. Super frustrating. It's like I stick my finger in here and it feels so dry. So I'm like, oh, it needs water. So I don't know. Someone said, oh, feel the leaves. Well, I'm feeling the leaves. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think I'm a succulent person, which is funny because I took out the plants that were in my lion's head planter, and I have started some new succulents here, portulakas, and I'm going to put them in here. So I just kind of jammed them in here for now, but I started these all from nubs I found on the floor at the garden center. I just picked them up. They were getting all stepped on, and I'm going to pop them into there. Isn't that cool? So I seem to have better luck with portulaca than I do hens and chicks. I don't know. It is what it is. But I think, like, when I sit and have my coffee, like I'll do that right now. Here's me sitting having my coffee. This is what I get to look at. Isn't that beautiful? I just look at this and I think this is exactly what I was hoping for. The layers, the colors, everything filled in, intermingling, intertwining. You don't see, it doesn't seem messy to me, not this section anyway. Over here, a little unruly and a little messy, but I can come in and, trim this back and things. But I just love all the colors. Like I love that plum. That's plum, plum wine or just plum. I can't remember. Verbena. I just love it popping up next to the pink cashmere with my Princess Alexandra Kent rose popping up, and there's some convolvulus back there. Just when I look at this, it just makes me so happy. I just love it. These kufiyas have just wowed me. I've never grown kufia before. This is a first time for me, and they have wowed me for sure. These will be a definite, I will always have these plants. And remember how I said coral bells dead to me? Look, that one was dead practically. There was not one blossom on it, and all of a sudden it's doing that. Isn't that pretty? I don't know what I did right all of a sudden, but I did something. On my trellis, I have two Gertrude Jekyls on either side. And then on this side, which we have a beautiful little bloom, I've got Jeannie LaJoy, miniature climber. She's blooming. I've gotten great blooms from her. Good little bloomer. And then on this side, I have a miniature Renee, which is growing very well. This is it right up here. I love Renee. It's thornless. Unlike the Gertrude Jekyll, which, holy moly, you need thick leather gloves to deal with this plant. So just kind of cool how you get both worlds here. Good bloomer, good grower. Well, I shouldn't say Gina Joy's she's not a bad grower. She's just kind of growing out and not up. But I love the blooms. And my buddleia doing awesome. I've got matching buddleia here and here. I do deadhead from time to time, but it's not necessary. I just do it to look at it. And then this little portulaca in here, that pretty pop of apricot. I like it in here with this. And then I've got a bearded iris that we just planted, and hopefully that one will come up. That one's called Bounce. And I think that one's got some blue in it. I just did these planters in a couple days ago. Agastache, Penta, Dusty Miller, and Variegated Ivy. And so far, the carpenter bees love the Agastache. It's so fun. They're really pretty, and they're a much better scale than what I had in there before. In this rose bed, I have Aster Fracari, which I see it's starting to bloom, but I don't see any blooms open yet. This is a really pretty daisy-like flower, small, blue, very pretty, lavendery blue. And it goes really nicely with my Princess Alexandra of Kent, which is kind of like a tropical sunrise, I think. And then I've got this variegated forest grass under here. Isn't that pretty? And then I couldn't resist it. I saw this in someone else's garden, and I just loved it. This is a peach drift rose, and it just glows. And I need to get away from, I've got a lot of pink. So I thought the peach would be a nice alternative. So I can't wait to figure out where that's going to go because I'm kind of full, you guys. So this is really do they call this like a sun transitional? Like we go from shade, lots of shade. This gets lots of shade in here. And then you transition over here to more sun over there. And then you do get sun in that back where the bird bath is, but that's like now. You get the sun now, and it's hot and it's quick. So isn't that pretty? Oh, look I've got some blooms on my GMs. Usually they bloom in winter into spring. This one's petticoat peach. Beautiful. It's a surprise little bloom, a little gift. Isn't that pretty? I'm deciding that I like El Nino Chitalpa. I wasn't on board. I still don't think it smells. People say it smells good. Haven't really noticed that, but the blossoms are stunning. And I love watching the bees because the bees just get in there and they're just like rolling around. It's really fun to watch. Oh, and here's my hitchhiker. When I moved these lantana, somehow there must have been a dahlia under there. It came with us. Man, dahlias must be super tasty because all of my dahlias look like this. Leaf miners, spider mites. I have no idea, but all of them look like that. Crazy, huh? All right, let's go over to the other side now. I was trying to catch a hummingbird for you because as I walk under here, there's my hummingbird there, but I scared him off. But yeah, the hummingbirds are super happy. Okay, we're under our shade structure. So I have 2 containers with coleus in it. Here they are, just beautiful. I love these plants. I find them to be pretty straightforward. I do pinch them to keep them bushier, and I spray them with BT because the budworms like these too. With those 2 things, they're pretty foolproof. They don't need a lot. I don't fertilize them. I water them. I mean, consistent water, but that's it. And I think they look really pretty. Not nice? No, pretty. All right. My favorite rose, my Royal Jubilee. Here it is. Gorgeous. Even, I mean, it's an English rose. You think, they're delicate little roses. No, tough plant right here. Blooms crazy. I mean, it changes. The heat changes how they bloom. The leaves are smaller. The blooms are smaller. They don't last as long, of course, as they would in spring, but they're just beautiful. And I have them paired with a rockin' purple giant, rockin' deep purple salvia, which is another pollinator favorite. Those black carpenter bees are so funny. They'll come and they'll look at you and they'll be like, hey, what are you doing? We still are waiting for our panels, our fence panels. Dudes, I ordered this May 15th. May 15th. It's from a company called Barrier Boss. They canceled our hog wire order. They are delayed on our fence panels. I don't know. I would caution you if you were to order from them. All right. Here is our other sort of sunbed. Let me turn the camera around. It does get sun mostly, this area here. Now that we're into August, the end of August, it doesn't get as much sun as it does in June and July when the sun is more up. But it really, has a lot of sun lovers in it. Look at that plumbago. Isn't that pretty? Sorry, I'm moving the camera. This is a new verbena. I actually got to replace something else. And then I decided it clashed with the pink that was by it. So I popped it over here. It's called Shades of Pink. It's an old Proven Winners variety that I don't see much, but it's been very reliable. Here's the lime that I mentioned. So when I said I was going to dig up the nectarine tree, this is the lime I'm going to put in its place. Then the orange chiclet is going to go in here. And my nectarine will go in this pot here because our fence, this is our disaster. We're just waiting for that fence to, the fence panels to come in so we can organize and all that sort of stuff. But my nectarine will go in here. I think this will be a good place for it because it gets a lot of sun. You don't need to look at a nectarine tree. Look at this Japanese maple. Isn't that pretty? Just love it. So I think that will be a nice place for it. And then the lime will be with the other citrus. So I just think it'll be a better a better fit. So in this bed, I have some anemone. I have some of the white that I mentioned before that snuck in there, so we got to dig that out. And then I've got the proven winter variety Fall in Love Sweetly, which is a much more polite grower from what I understand, so I'll let that stay there. The plumbago, love this plant. Love, love, love this plant. Love the color. I love how it spills out, gushes out, just everything about this plant. It's easy. I come by with the hose and I blast off the dead blossoms with the hose, and that's it. It works pretty good. I don't fertilize it. I give it water. It really is easy. And kind of all in this area, there's a weeping red bud. Can you see it? Here it is. It's sneaking in there. It's getting taken over. But I put in here some of the front of the plants. I have lamb's ear, which are in there doing fine, even though you can't even see them. Here's another, what I was talking about, the African daisy, just meh. I popped in a helichrysum to replace one of the holes that was left by the proven winter royal velvet that died. But look at this helichrysum. It is out of control. So I really should prune it. Oh, and this was the hot pink one that I was going to replace with the other one. I know they look similar, but for some reason they were different, and they were different enough that I didn't like it. I have Super Bina pink cashmere in here. And then I've got wallflower, which is kind of a reliable, quiet grower in the back here, which I like because, it just has these pops of little, dancing in the air color. That's all you really need. And then the pink comfrena and the purple meteor showers in here. So, wowza. Not gorgeous. And there's a pretty, I got a ton of these little butterflies. I don't know what they are. See it? Pretty, huh? But these have done really well. And there's also this yellow plant down there that I can't remember the name of right now. I saw it on one of the garden tours that I watched. So I thought, oh, a little pop of yellow might be nice. There's some down here too. And it's kind of nice seeing it peek through like that, isn't it? Yeah. Something other than pink and purple. I do have At Last roses here, which you may know are like an apricot. They're not blooming right now. They kind of bloom off and on. But I had a little bit of a water issue. The same issue we had over there. The wrong heads were on, and so they were deprived of water for a while. So some of them look a little peaked, but they'll bounce back. And then I've got another salvia May night here tucked in, and then I've got this Shasta daisy, which is just a great, reliable grower. It's gotten so big, I think I'm going to try and divide it. I've never done that before, so I'm going to give it a shot. And then my other favorite plant this year, this dahlia, totally tempted virtuoso violet, I think, if I have the name right. Just a rock star. Just a rock star. Now, I have everything crammed in here, right? You see that? I like this look. I like it crammed in here. Maybe I could, do without all this helichrysum kind of going everywhere. It's all higgledy-piggledy, but I love the crammed in look. The gushing out, the things spilling over, the things budding up so that when you see like three colors together, it's just so pretty. Like I've got snow in summer, the royal velvet, and the dahlia all right here together. So pretty. Or you come over here and you see the pink cashmere with the royal velvet, with the helichrysum, with the dahlia. Like, I just love this look. This is me in a garden right here. I agree with Laura. She mentioned that these flowers were not doing, the pink cashmere were not doing a very good job in burying their dead. And I agree. So as a chore, I'll ask my kids to come out and cut off, the dead blossoms. But, I only do that every once in a while. It would look better if I could, kept up on it. But here again, these dahlias have spider mites. You can see it on the leaves. Now, I don't know what these will do for me. Spider mites. Oh, but look at, is that that looks like it might be a ladybug. Eat those spider mites. You get them, girl. Um, so I don't know if these will stay for me or not, over the winter. Like for many of us here in Zone 9B, especially, the more milder Zone 9Bs, we, what's called an annual everywhere else is a perennial for us, or at least we could keep it for a couple years. Maybe not a perennial, but it doesn't die, and then we could keep it for a couple years. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that these dahlias do that for me. Look how pretty they are. They do need deadheading, so I will come out, like you can see it here, about once a week. I'll come out so you can tell it's time for me to do that. But look how good it looks. And I don't do anything. I don't fertilize them. I just water them. That's it. And then here's another African daisy that I told you. See? Meh. But it will be so pretty in spring. So I don't know. I'm torn. Here is supposed to be my star jasmine wall. And so far, they are not doing what I was hoping. But I have to keep reminding myself. First year they sleep. Second year they creep. Third year they leap. So I'm really hoping that they take off. But you know what is taking off? This morning glory. So annoying. Ugh, I hate this plant. It goes everywhere and it gets in everything and you pull it back and so obnoxious. I have some more scavola in here. I have to tell you, I am not giving what this plant needs. I had it a couple years ago on the other side of my house and it did great. And then, I don't know, it just not doing great. I think part of the problem is we're competing for water from these guys, these redwoods. So anything over here just really competes for any drop of water. So, sorry, the sun's kind of hard to film right now. I think that might be it. Because I'll give them some extra water. They'll kind of bounce back, but they're on drip. I mean, how much more water can they possibly need? I also have Mexican petunia here. These are great. Here's a spent blossom. They only have blossoms for one day. Pretty little purple blossom. They live for a day and then they drop it. These were left over. I had a whole hedge of them here and I took them out in favor of this wall of star jasmine, but I left these two. They would prefer more sun, I think. But for now, they're there. My containers with the sky pencil, silver falls, doing great. Coral, bark, Japanese maple doing great. My Perfecto Mundo azalea is doing great. Need to give them some fertilizer before we head into the blooming season. And then I have my cousinette. Same problem I'm having on the other side. They just need more water, I guess, than they're getting. More sun? I don't know. So super frustrating. I'm thinking about just ripping these out and just doing this whole area with these azaleas since they're obviously doing so well. My only problem is that these guys only really bloom intermittently, But hey, green is a color, right? And last but not least are my hanging baskets, which this is why, I don't know, begonias get a D for me, I think. Man, when they're pretty, they're pretty. But when they decide they're not happy, they are not happy. And I have these 4 baskets. I mean, look at it. They're pretty. But what's funny to me is I have this Tyrinia, this wishbone flower with 2 different kinds of begonias in here. This one's doing so-so-ish. Those, as we just saw, terrible. This one, it's like living its best life. And I thought that Tyrinia was a shade plant, and this gets a lot of sun. So, what do I know, I guess. But look at, I like crack up. I'm like, oh, so overachiever, you're the thriller, the filler, and the spiller. You can't even see the pot in there. And then I also have one in here that's doing so, but I have it partnered with a calibrachoa that's not doing great. But one of those ferns that we saw over by my Zen fountain that's doing really well, it gets a lot of water. And then another little fern tucked back in there. It's a pretty little scene. But this guy is super impressive. I do like that color. And then I've got some sort of feather, some sort of grass in there. And then I've got some azaleas under here, a green glow and a unknown variety. And then I've got my stunning um, magnolia. Just so pretty. I love this tree. This is probably one of my favorite trees. I just love the bark on it. Look at how it's like all mottled. Isn't that neat? And you just look up, and it's pretty all the time. It's pretty even in winter, just because the structure of the tree is so pretty. There's a little robin's nest up there. We had a family. Isn't that pretty? Nice little tableau right there. All right. Well, that is going to do it for August. That is my August garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I'm not having to apologize. I'm not having to say, "Oh, sorry, that's dead. Oh, sorry, that's not looking good." Us gardeners, we're so hard on ourselves. We really should enjoy and not always point out everything that's wrong. But maybe that's what gardening is all about, is just continually improving. And so that's, for me, maybe I'm making mental notes about, hey, this is what I want to do. I do have a list of things that I am trying to, chores and things I want to get to. So that's going to do it for me. That is our August garden tour. I'm excited to dive into some of these areas that I want to make as happy as this section makes me. This is my happy zone right here, and so is that back there, my happy zone. So I am really looking forward to continuing that with this. I don't know if I've shared, but my goal is to be on the Folsom Garden Tour by 2030. So I've got 3 years, and if it's sleep, creep, leap, I got to plan now so that by 2030 it's looking all dialed in. I love having goals like that. That I find motivating. All right, gang. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me. I know this was a long one. I hope you enjoyed seeing what's thriving and what's beautiful in my California Zone 9B garden. I'm here in Folsom, if you didn't know. And we, have a different kind of gardening than those of you who are in Zone 9B in Florida or on the coast. So for us, this Zone 9B means hot, dry summers, mild winters, lots of sunshine, very little rain, very little moisture from like fog or marine layer. And so finding the right plants to thrive in that can be a challenge, but when you get it right, you get it right. So thanks for hanging in with me, and I hope you get a chance to get out into your garden and let it love you today. Bye.